And the first order of business will be the invocation and the pledge.
Will you join me in prayer? Heavenly Father, we thank you for this day. We thank you for the warm weather that we're having this week. And Father, as always, we ask that you please continue to lift up those in need, those who may be ill or suffering. We pray for not just our local community, Lord, but our country and the world. And Father, as always, we just ask for your many blessings this evening and allow us to make the best decisions for our wonderful town. All these things we pray in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen. And Harry, you want to lead us in the pledge?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you very much. And a copy of last month's minutes. Comments, corrections?
I move to approve the March 9th, 2026 minutes as presented.
I'll second.
And motion and second, further discussion. Okay, hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you very much. All right. And treasurer's report, Sharon Strand.
Since it's not 4:15 quite yet, I will go ahead and go over the March financial statements. We're still in pretty good shape. Looking at income tax, we still have 3 very large payments that will be distributed to us. 1 in May, 1 in June, and 1 in August. So, and that'll go into the fiscal year 2026 budget, against the 2026 budget. Other than that, we're pretty close on real estate taxes. I don't really have any concerns, anything more in the revenue section. And under community development, under the expense section, which is page 2, under the facade grant expenses, it's account number 52098. Those are, the expenses are over budget right now, but I will make an adjustment for that because this includes 24 and 25 expenses that we did not expend in those fiscal years. And that's all I have unless there's any questions on the financial statements so far.
No? Okay.
I can go ahead and do the budget amendment request since we have a little bit of time.
Yep, please.
So this is for BA 2026108, which is phone system upgrade. Late in 2025, Verizon increased their costs for services on several accounts by 50%. This increase compelled staff to reach out to our information technology consultant, Justech, for assistance. Justech recommended a phone consultant for us to work with. The consultant reviewed our current bills and mapped the bills to our existing lines, resulting in excess accounts that are no longer required, as well as duplicate contracts/services being provided. On the attached memo, you will see at the bottom 2 different options that we could go with. Option 1 keeps our same phone system that we have online right now, which is about 10 years old. You said we moved in here in 2016, so it's about 10 years old. There will still be an upfront cost of $25, and the annual cost would be $6,900 for a total of $9,425. Our current spend for this one is $3,372.17, and that's what we pay. And then our new spend, if we did this upgrade, would be $2,081.70. So we'd see a savings of $12,900 $1,290. So our return on investment would be about 2 months. We would be able to recover that money, that upfront cost, in about 2 months. If we go over to option 2, this is where we would upgrade our phones. And so we would need 21 phones at $219, which would equal $4,599. We would need 2 phones at $529, and those are conference room phones, for a total of $1,058. And then we would have a setup and install cost of $4,568 for a total of one-time cost of $10,225. And then again, we would add in the $6,900 for a total of $17,125 versus the $9,425 in option 1. Our current spend is $3,372.17. If we upgraded to the new phone system, our new annual spending would be $1,598.14. So just shy of an extra $500 less a month. So we would see a savings of $1774.03. And we would be able to get a return on that investment in a 6-month period. So it's a 2-month period versus a 6-month period that we would be able to cover that cost and recover it going forward. So when I present the 27 budget, it has the old numbers in it. So, but we would see savings going forward. Any questions on the budget amendment?
Sure, I'm sorry, what, the 529, you said those 2 phones are for conference rooms, is out there?
Yes, conference room phones.
So what's the difference between the 2 phone systems? Like the option 1 and option 1 we're using 50 lines. Option 2 is,
It's in the upgraded, it still would be basically an on-premise, but it would be a hosted on-premise phone instead of how now it's connected to the web and all of that. It would just work more efficiently, and we'd be able to tie in more with some of the phone lines that are out at the pump stations, and the wastewater treatment plant, and things of that nature.
And then wasn't there also another fee that we were gonna be facing because of the copper wires and whatnot?
Well, we've
Is this
already
also-
faced it.
Okay.
That's what increased 50%, and that's what kind of, when we first got that bill, because we didn't know about it, we were like, what in the world? And so it really did increase
Yeah.
significantly.
Thank you.
So in the long run, the new system would save us money.
Yes,
Yeah, it looks like it's like $500.
about $500 more a month, and then even going forward, so.
so is this budget amendment just to do this, or do we have to pick today option 1 or option 2? Are we specifically picking that?
We're recommending option 2 because we're going to keep on
Yeah.
doing this.
That's what I would think too.
Extra.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Plus our phones are 10 years old and we don't have anyone to work on them anymore.
That's the biggest consideration,
Yeah.
actually.
So back to Mary's question there, does that have to be set in the motion? To go with option
No,
2?
she typed up the budget amendment as the
Oh.
10,000.
Mhm.
So as option 2.
Any other comments, questions?
Oh, I see. I see. Yep. Okay.
All right, I move to approve BA 2026-108 to purchase a new phone system and update the phone lines by increasing capital outlay and interest income budget accounts for the general government within the general fund.
I'll second.
Okay, motion and second, further discussion. Okay, hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Still not 4:15 yet.
Maybe we could do my item for Kelly so she doesn't have to sit through the whole meeting.
Sure.
I'm right there. Is that right? The liquor
Sure.
license needed. So Needed Bakery has moved to the former Bell Building at 22675 Washington Street. They would like to acquire a Class B restaurant license for the sale of beer and wine. And Kelly Evans is here today. The Class B beer, wine, and liquor license is approved for on and off-site sales in conjunction with the operation of a restaurant. And that was their, also the previous tenant had that as well. So we just need to do a letter of support for Mint Made Baking Company LLC, trading as Needed Baking Company.
So how are things going with the new
It's awesome.
location?
Yeah, I feel like we live in a mansion now. Like our dish pit is bigger than our old kitchen.
Wow.
Yeah, it's crazy. So like physically in our old kitchen, I could only fit 3 people in. It was very dangerous. And now I think the other night we had like 10 bakers in there and everybody. It was awesome. It was super cool. So yeah, super happy.
I like all your windows, you have a great view of the
I think it's I don't want to brag, but I do think it's the best view. Like I just stand there, I watch the sunrise every morning and the sunset as well. It's lovely. Yeah, no, it really is so good.
Right over town hall, so that's why it's so.
Right, it's just like sun rays coming out of your building. No, it's awesome. It's really good. I feel really lucky that we're there.
Okay.
All right, I move to approve the letter of support on behalf of the town council for the Class B restaurant liquor license application submitted by Mint Made Baking Company LLC, trading as Needed Baking Company, located at 22675 Washington Street.
I'll second.
Okay. Motion and second, further discussion. Okay, hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Very good.
Sweet.
And I'll
Thank you.
send that over to Tammy.
Perfect.
Send you
Okay.
a copy.
Okay. I'm gonna skip out. I have lacrosse for my daughter. It's email time, so if you're waiting for an email from me, it's gonna make it your way. Thanks, y'all. Have a great night.
You too.
Bye.
Still not quite 4:15 yet. How about Mike Bailey? Do you have anything?
Yes, so we, March 16th was our scheduled P and Z meeting. However, it was postponed due to the prediction of bad weather. So we had a P and Z meeting, or planning commission meeting, on April 6th. We had 2 items. One was concept approval for the Macintosh Professional Center, which is essentially behind the Domino's and pharmacy there on Route 5. It's for 2 12,000 square foot flex space buildings, which they received concept approval. And then the second was a quad duplex that was located on lot 11 in Singletree off of Miss Bessie Drive. And that was a recommendation to town council for public hearing and concept approval. So planning commission recommended that project to you for review. And then as far as this month, at this current time, I do not have any projects that are in position to be seen by the planning commission for the month of April, for our regular scheduled meeting.
Public hearing will be next month, right? And have we heard anything back? Have we reached out already?
Yes,
to the
there's a lot
attorney?
of information for you.
Oh, good, thank you.
Any other comments, questions for planning department, Mike Bailey? Okay. Thank you, Mike. And police report, everyone should receive a copy of that. Deputy Will Hellman is not with us today, but comments, questions on the police report?
I was just gonna ask about the thing from earlier, so thank you for
Yeah.
letting me know.
Okay. Just remind everyone, they had 89 vehicle stops in Leonardtown, so please slow down and watch where you're going. Okay. All right, I do have, it's after 4:15 now, so entertain a motion to close the regular meeting and reopen under the public hearing, ordinance number 232, FY '27 budget adoption.
Sorry, I move to close the regular meeting and open the public hearing of ordinance number 232 FY '27 budget adoption.
I'll second.
Okay, you all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. Thank you.
Okay.
Why don't you give us a background here, Sharon, please?
Okay. So we advertised in 2 local papers about the budget public hearing for today. And it's ordinance number 232 for the FY fiscal year '27 budget adoption and setting the real property tax rate and service charge rates. So I'm just going to go in, and I think everyone has a copy of the latest version of the budget. So the town operates under 4 different types of funds. We have the general fund, which is the main governing fund of the town's day-to-day activities. Then we move to the enterprise fund, which is a self-sustaining business type fund, and that includes the water, sewer, wastewater treatment plant, and the trash contract. Then we move on to our capital projects fund, which those funds are set aside because they're multi-year projects. The first year of the budget is adopted. The next 4 years out are just for planning purposes. And then we move on to the grants fund, and the grants fund is for non-operating grants. So currently we have 2 of those, and I will be going over those in a little bit more detail. So again, the general fund is for the day-to-day activities of the town. We have specific departments within the general fund. We have the general government, community development, planning and zoning, public works, public safety, and recreation and parks. And in order to finance those activities, we primarily have revenues coming from property taxes, income taxes, shared revenues, permits and fees, grants, and other miscellaneous revenue sources. So the grants that are in the general fund are for operating purposes only, and I'll point some of those out too so you know the difference. The income tax is the largest revenue source in the FY '27 budget. It's estimated to be going to be at $1.2 million. It represents about 40.4% of operating revenue. Since it is our largest revenue source, we need to make sure in getting the message out to our residents that it's important for the Leonardtown residents to properly file their annual Maryland income tax to ensure that the local share of income tax is remitted to the town. There is just a slight increase from 26 to 27 in income tax, but I still think it's in a good spot in how we projected it for 27. Real property tax is the second largest revenue source budgeted. It's just over $1 million, and it represents 34% of operating revenue. And this budget maintains the same tax rate as fiscal year 26 at 0.1203. The next largest revenue source is highway user revenue, which is budgeted at just over $380,000. And that's per the highway user. The state sends us a letter each year on what we can anticipate for the next year. So that kind of covers page 3 in our budget book, the revenue section. Now we can go on, and I'll just go over the 5 operational grants. So again, on page 3, about halfway down, starting with account 4441 and going down to 4467. Those are operational grants. So the first one is our state aid and police protection. So that helps fund the St. Mary's County Police Officer for the town. The next one is we have a small critical area commission, $4,000. We have fiscal year 27 Main Street Improvement Program operating grant of $25,000. We have a Maryland State Art Council operating grant of $17,000. And then we have the St. Mary's Art Council of $5,000. There is a worksheet for each grant in the grant section of your budget book. And it kind of lays out whether it's in the grant fund or the general fund, so there's more details back there. Each one has a separate worksheet.
And the grant funds are only applied to, can only be used for specific things, correct?
Correct.
It just doesn't go into a pot, it can be used,
No,
it has to be used for specific.
Right, and it outlines in each time we submit an application on what we're allowed to use those funds for, and then we have to submit annual reimbursements, and they make sure that we are spending it properly. And with ARPA, since it was such a large funding for the federal government, we fall under the single audit guidelines that our auditors will look through our grants also.
Will this be our last year for that, or is it?
We didn't have one in 26. I mean, in 25, we probably won't have one in 26. Because I think it's like $1 million, the threshold, and we're way under that. But the auditors during the audit process do look at our grants, and we still do a schedule for them for grants.
With Main Street and Arts and Entertainment both, they're more operating kind, they just give you that amount of money. But we do a budget at the beginning of the year of what we think we're going to spend the money on, what items that are qualified, and then we do a wrap up at the end of the year on what we actually spend it on. And we go through and make sure that any of the items that are claimed by Arts and Entertainment are not also claimed by Main Street. So we keep those all separated.
Great.
Okay, so now I'm going to move on to the expenses, which is starting on page 4 for general government. The general government expenses did decrease from the FY26 budget. This year, our budget is going to be at $2,991,935 for the whole general fund. So that's a 3.8% decrease over the 26 budget. In prior years, we added a funding line for the waterfront revitalization project. So like any surplus we had at the end of the year, we would transfer it over to capital projects and keep that in there for our revitalization. This year, we did not have significant resources to cover anything, so we did not set money aside for that. However, in the 23 to 26 approved budget, we funded about $542,000, of which about $175,000 was used to purchase the Wharf parking lot land. And in 25 and FY27, we're projecting to use about $250,000 to pave the Wharf parking lot. Let's see. Each year during the budget cycle, when we're trying to balance the budget, we want to remember that our fund balance. We don't want to use our reserves for operational recurring costs. And it's our goal to keep our fund balance, our unreserved fund balance at 50% of expenditures. If everything works out in a perfect world, at the end of 27, our unassigned fund balance would still be at 72.32%. So we're still in good shape.
Great.
So, we don't really have any big changes. Most of the changes that you see within the budget are I'm breaking out like telephone expense. So I'm pulling things out where we usually just grouped everything together. So I'm pulling it out But overall, the budgets hasn't changed that much. And you'll see salaries going up in one area and salaries going down in another area or department. And it's just how we've allocated our salaries now that some of our roles have shifted and changed and depending on what projects we're working on. So that pretty much covers everything in the general fund. Does anybody have any questions on the general fund before I move on to the enterprise fund?
I think we have to close the public hearing for us to ask the questions, right?
Do they?
I mean,
We're
you
not
can
supposed
ask,
to.
you can ask as we go along.
Yeah.
You can't make a motion.
We can't do a motion until we
But you can ask.
close the public hearing, but you can ask questions. Yeah.
But that's okay.
Yeah.
If that's fine, I have a question.
Sure.
Did we add the solar grant, that one that we just
No,
got?
not yet, because we just got notified.
Because that's
of it.
just.
Yeah, so yeah, I'm gonna talk about that a little bit, so, yeah, but it's not included yet.
That's perfect. Thank you.
No questions on the general? Okay. So now we'll go right into the enterprise fund. And the enterprise fund starts on page 11. And again, the enterprise fund is a self-sustaining fund, a business type fund, and is for water, sewer, the wastewater treatment plant, and for the trash collection contract. So the enterprise fund includes the operations and maintenance of the water and sewer facilities and the collection of trash and recyclables for the citizens and businesses of Leonardtown. User service charges finance the daily operations and maintenance of these activities. Water and sewer capacity allocation charges and impact fees that are collected on new homes and buildings, they pay just for major facility repairs and new infrastructure. So we try to set that money aside so when we have big projects, we're able to fund some of those projects without having to borrow, but we don't have our day-to-day users paying for those big projects. That's our goal and intent. The wastewater treatment plant and the sewer system. The 27 proposed operating budget for the wastewater treatment plant and sewer system combined of $102,890 or a 3.3% increase over the FY26 approved operating budget. A rate increase will be needed to meet this year's operating budget for wastewater treatment plant and the sewer system departments. Based on our projections, a residential sewer bill will increase by $2.70 a month, and a commercial sewer bill will increase by $4.42 a month per EDU. These rates are detailed and they're found on page 36 of the budget document. The water system, we're projecting a 4% increase in the expenses for water, or an increase of about $50,000 higher than the 26 operating budget. This system will also need a rate increase in order to meet this year's operating budget. Right now it's projected to a residential water bill will increase by $1.28 a month, and a commercial rate increase, they're based on the size of the line servicing each customer. And again, those rates are found on page 36 in the budget book. The trash contract was rebid in February 2025. The trash service rate is proposed to increase by $2.58 a month. Again, commercial rates vary depending on the type of service that they receive. And not to be redundant, but the proposed rates are on page 36.
Do you know off the top of your head for residential, if they're residential water, sewer, trash, obviously everybody's trash, how much their bill will go up?
Let's see, I have those, let me see what I have.
I think it's like
$5 or
$6 a month,
Yeah,
times
that's
three,
what it-
so
yeah.
$18.
Per
quarter.
Per quarter.
Per quarter,
Yeah.
per quarter.
$6 a month, yeah.
Got it.
just as a heads up, the residential is, trash pickup is going to be $108.69
A quarter,
per quarter.
with 2 service days a week.
Right.
And includes recycling.
Plus the recycling, which is basically 3.
Three, I was gonna say three, right?
Yeah, So,
And just knowing what other people outside of town pay, it's $110 a month just for 1 day a week.
Yeah,
Trash
I
pickup.
think that's what Evergreen, is it Evergreen still?
Yep.
Okay, thank you. Yeah.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah, that sounds right.
We'll take you anytime.
There, when you're looking at the revenue section on page 11 for the enterprise funds, in speaking of the reserves and impact fees that we do collect from new building permits and things of that nature, again, we do set that aside for capital projects for the water and sewer project departments, but we also set aside for us to help to cover the debt service on our outstanding loans for the expansion, the ENR upgrade, and the tower and the new well project. So that's what impact fee reserves is drawing off of those reserves.
So again, it doesn't come out of the residents' pockets. It's
Mhm.
road-related projects are paid for, both debt service and initial costs are paid for out of the impact
Impact
fees.
fees.
and out of growth fees.
The expansion is being paid by the new growth,
Right.
not by the current residents or businesses.
And that's the reason, one reason that we need to collect a certain number of impact fees per year to be able to continue to pay that debt service from that fund and to also accumulate for the next project.
And we have, do we have some agreements in place that certain,
We do. The
Subdivisions
only
are
one
required to
that's
pay
building
somebody.
right now is Qualityville at Meadows 2, and we do have a green idea. It's 30 units a year, I believe. But they usually go more than that. But and then Tudor Hall, when they come on, we'll have an agreement also of a certain number of units per year. So at the end of the year, if they haven't met that, then they have to pay
the difference?
extras for the
Right.
next year.
Got it. Great, thanks.
So if we go to page 12, that outlines all the expense categories for the wastewater treatment plant. Again, there's not a large increase anywhere. These are just normal, ongoing, day-to-day operational costs. If you go to page 13, it's the same for sewer. Again, you'll see that there's a difference in salaries, but it probably went down, it did go down in another area, it's just how we allocate salaries. 14, page 14 is for the water. We were able to put some money aside for the capital reserve fund for any projects coming up or anything that comes up that needs to be repaired. We have that money set aside for that. And we also have money set aside for contingency also. And then if we go to page 15, this is the trash services. So the largest is the waste disposable contract. So that did go up a little, but overall, the expenses did go down for this department by about $40,000.
The show question, the contingency, does that cover like if a pipe bursts and whatnot, like where is that
Yeah, the
covered?
contingency has anything in the budget, it just gives you extra money.
Yeah.
Budgeted, misbudgeted something or something comes up, an emergency.
Or like how the pipe bursts out here
Mhm.
like in the
Yeah.
winter?
I
That
mean, we
needs to tap
have
into
a
that.
line under item of line repair.
Okay,
So there's different line items, but that's kind of can be used for, in that department, anything that, we have a problem with budget.
If that doesn't get used, does it go into the reserve? Is that where it goes?
It goes into the enterprises fund balance. And then, so the capital fund reserve, if we're not anticipating on using that money. So at the end of the year, if everything balances out properly, that would be set aside in a reserve fund. Yeah. All right. Any questions on the enterprise fund? All right. We can move on to capital projects, which begins on page 17. The first schedule is how the expenses are laid out by year, so you'll have 27 through 31 on this page. It's a pretty small capital project compared to what you've seen over the last several years with so many big projects coming on. So we have the painting of Tudor Hall Tower, which we would like to do in 27. We have the water line expansion also for 27 and under the water projects. And then we have a meter replacement project, and this falls under water and sewer, and that's scheduled to start in 28 and 29. And we switched over to a new type of meter, and we have a new software coming on, so this would allow us to upgrade those meters and be able for us to read our meters from this location. And it would also allow our customers to have 24/7 access to their meters and what's going through it, and so if they could catch a leak quicker or things of that nature. So it is going to be beneficial once we get there.
And predict their bill.
And, right,
Yeah.
exactly.
I can say that function's really nice if you have a leak inside your residence
Yeah.
or anything. Just being
Yeah.
able to.
Yeah, be
My
alerted
meters
and
have
things
one
of that
right now.
nature.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, that way you're not catching it a month.
Yeah.
Or a quarter.
A
even.
quarter,
Yeah,
right,
yeah.
right. Mm-hmm.
And then the water line expansion, that was for the Davis building, is that right?
Well, there's two different sections. One would be by quality built, there's a dentist office that wants to come in. They would be paying for a section of it out of their pocket, but we eventually want to have that loop
Yeah.
all the way on Hollywood Road. So we would do the main portion, and then the customer would pay for the rest.
Perfect. I just couldn't remember. Thank you, Alicia.
And then under the sewer projects, for 27, we have the grinder pump project. We did 2 this year in 26, and then we have 2 more in 27 to do.
Those are really old water meters and grinder pumps.
Yeah, it'll be good.
Yeah.
I see them, I'm like,
Had a lot of
poor little
problems.
guys.
Yeah, it's very expensive.
And the last capital project we have is for the wharf parking lot construction. And we had prior approval of the 250,000, and then 250,000 is in fiscal year 2027.
Michelle, this is the other one. This
So this
is
is
not the one.
This is the new lot,
The new-
building
okay.
the new lot. And then we have heard, and since the governor signed the budget, I'm assuming we will get an additional 450,000, 425, I think it is, for, that would be redoing the other lot, the
That's what-
existing lot.
Great.
But this one, the one right now we need to get done is we've got a $250,000 grant, and we need to match that, and we would build a new one
Okay.
behind the last
Our
house.
other lot. Okay. Awesome. I had them switched. Thank you.
All right, so pages 18 through 22 are just telling you and letting you know how we're going to pay for the capital project. So for instance, the Tudor Hall project is going to come out of operating reserves. The water line expansion is going to come out of operating reserves. The grinder pump project will come out of operating reserves. And the wharf parking lot construction will be a grant of $250,000. The meter replacement projects under both water and sewer for fiscal year 28-29 They'll both come out of capital connections right now. Again, we'll look at this again next year and see what our balances are, and if we need to adjust it, we will. And we don't have any projects in 30 or 31. And then pages 23 through 27, it's just a little synopsis of each project, just so we have an idea, or in our residents have an idea of what the project is for. So the next section we'll go to is the grants fund, and that begins on page 28. So the grant funds, like I said earlier, the grant-specific fund records all non-operating grants that are for a specific project or initiative. Grants can cross fiscal years and are subject to the single audit requirements. That's kind of why we keep it in a separate one, because if they're federal, they're going to cross fiscal years. So right now we have the facade improvement grant that's in the grant fund of $50,000, and the Maryland Heritage Area Authority grant of $5,000. On the left-hand side on page 28, under expenditures, you'll see either 3 letters or 2 letters. GRT means that's the grant fund. GF means it's the general fund, and there's a little key below that to let you know that. So the 5 at the bottom that are listed as GF, that revenue is actually sitting in the general fund. And then pages 29 through 35, again, is just like capital projects, just gives you an overview of the project and how it's going to be spent.
And then, LaShawn, I know you said you're going to talk to us about that other grant. Is that one a federal one as well? Okay, thank you.
So I don't have anything else on the grants fund unless there's any questions on the grants fund. Okay, our last section is our proposed rates, and that starts on page 36. The page 36 is the water and sewer and trash rates. And it's looking at what we are currently charging for fiscal year 26 and what we're going to be charging in fiscal year 27 if the budget is adopted as is. Page 37, again, is showing our real property tax rate, our income tax rate, our public utility tax rate, accommodation tax rate, and our cable TV franchise tax rate. And again, what was approved in 26, what we're recommending in 27, and there is no change. The rates are staying the same. And right below that on page 37 is our proposed assessments, which we get from the state assessments office each year. On page 38, and this is our history over the last 21 years of our real property and income tax rate and how they've changed. So in 2027, our real property tax did not change, but our constant yield tax rate went up. So what it's saying is that in order for you to collect the same real estate tax revenue that we did in 26, we would have to charge 0.1218 as a tax rate to get that. But we're keeping our tax rate at 0.1203.
And if you see, it goes all the way back to 2006, we actually went down from 0.15 in 2010. From 2006 to 2010, it was 0.15. We went down in 2011, down again in 2014, and down again in 24, and to stay that, so we haven't raised it in 21 years.
All right, and on the last page, page 39, These are our park rental rates. Again, it's looking at a comparison between 26 and 27, and there are no changes from 26 to 27.
We updated those last year, didn't we?
Yeah.
Still very reasonable.
Any questions about any parts of the budget?
Comments, questions from the council? Not entertaining any comments, questions from the general public. You said we put comment, or did we get any comments?
I did not receive any comments.
Okay. Any comments, questions today from the public? Okay. Hearing none, I'd go ahead and entertain a motion to close the public hearing and open the regular meeting.
All right, I move to close the public hearing and open the regular meeting.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you. Any other comments, questions?
I'll just say, I think it's a great
Yeah.
budget, so thank you all for
Yeah.
the work you did.
Yeah.
Yeah, thank you, Sharon.
Mr. Chair, you do a beautiful job.
Yeah.
I love how
Thank you.
everything's so well laid out. You can
Yeah, thank
easily
you.
research it. You do a beautiful job. Thank you very much.
Well, I had a lot of help from Michelle, so. She's organized.
17.
Yeah.
Yep.
Thank you both. We all appreciate it. Good job.
Has the new software that we approved last year, has that been helpful to you in this or not?
I really built it, I mean, of course, it has a lot of the detailed information that I need, and that's great, but I built it outside of that program right now.
Put it all in at the
in
end.
Excel, yeah.
We're still working on the water software, building that
Building it out.
history.
Mhm.
So it didn't really help this year, but it's gonna be so nice and really help us plan for the future a lot better.
Yeah, we didn't want to rush it, and so we want to get the right details in there.
Thank you.
Any other comments, questions?
All right, I move to approve ordinance number 232 for the purpose of adopting the fiscal year 2027 budget and setting the real property tax rate and service charges for water, sewer, trash, and park and rental fees in the town of Leonardtown.
I'll second.
Motion and second. Discussion? Okay, hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay. Michelle, do you have anything else?
Just real quickly, I'll touch on the grant that Heather mentioned. We did receive word that we had received a $650,000 grant, possible grant for solar panels at the wastewater treatment plant, and that requires a $50,000 match. We're looking at now exactly, how much that money will be able to use at the plant, and if we can do anything else. Just because of the type of buildings down there, I don't necessarily, we can't put them on every building, but I'll be meeting with a consultant that will let us know, and also with our engineers this week to try to determine exactly what is feasible and how much of that we will be able to use. So it is a federal grant. And that's all I have. Jennifer has her update.
I just wanted to let you know I'll be sending you invitations soon for the
Main Street update, please.
Yes.
Yes.
Good afternoon, Mayor and Council. I just wanted to let you know I'll be sending you invitations soon for the 25th anniversary celebration for the Cutting Edge Salon and needed ribbon cutting. And that should come soon, and please let me know if you have any questions on my monthly report. Thank you.
What was the one that Edge Salon?
Cutting Edge Salon on Pope
Oh.
Road, their 25th anniversary celebration. So we're
Aw.
presenting a proclamation and a special gift.
Did you, I'm sorry, were you done?
Yes,
Okay.
thank you.
Did you receive anything from Hyatt, what's it called, Hyatt?
Yes,
Okay,
Yes.
they have something coming up too?
Yes.
Okay. I'll let you tell us when you're ready.
Oh.
Okay.
So, explain to us.
Can't say that.
Next Delaware is
It's
open
just
high
a ri-
commercial, it's May
Yeah.
20th, but I want to just confirm the ribbon cutting time with him.
What was that again? One at a time. Couldn't understand what you said.
Okay.
For what is it for?
He was asking about Hyatt Commercial, Nick Stellaway's new building,
Okay,
and when the grand opening is.
okay.
And it should be May 20th, and I'll send you the time for the ribbon cutting when we confirm it.
Okay,
Thank you.
Absolutely.
thank you. Okay, anything else from Main Street? That's it?
That's it. Thank you.
Okay. Moving on to my report, I see Christy Parker's here. Had a little event last week.
A little one, yeah. The state of the town was great, and the LBA wanted to thank everybody in town that was involved in making it, planning it and doing it, and it was such a great event, so thank you for that. Our update is that the candidate forum will take place on Tuesday, April 28th at the Rex. Doors will open at 5:30. The forum starts at 6 p.m. All candidates will receive a formal invitation later this week. Questions can be submitted via Google Docs prior to the event at visitleonardtownmd.com/election. Or they can be submitted at the door prior to the 6 p.m. start. John Parker will be the moderator for the evening. We hope everybody can join us.
It's such a special day that day, too.
It is a very special day that day.
Yes.
And speaking of election day, it is Tuesday, May 5th, 2026. Is anybody else going to, did you have anything else
No, I'm done.
to say about that? Polls open at 12 p.m. to 7 p.m., so right here at Town Hall. So. Okay. Did get a call from Governor Moore's office today. Kayla from his office. He would like to come down and to Leonardtown and do a tour of the Main Street areas and little tour of the town. Not sure when that's going to be, but he'll probably be in town for about an hour or so during the day. Talk about taking them down to the wharf and other areas. Then he is going down to St. Mary's College also.
Awesome.
Sorry to let y'all know when that is, but just looking for some dates. So. Okay.
And is that happening?
Is
The Rotary?
well, I was going to.
Oh.
Yes, I was going to kind of mention that during the events, your events.
Well, we will wait. Yes.
We'll move on to your events and I'll bring this up.
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you. What a natural segue.
I just had my other notes at the bottom.
Well
That's why
done, yes. I love seeing all of the Easter, the egg hunt and whatnot, and I saw that we had some winners from that, so thank you, LBA, for putting that together, as always. I missed the hospice walk and run because I had to travel to Bel Air for Noah's baseball game, but it looked like it was a good turnout, and just, I love it, and after, being with hospice with my dad last summer, I'm just thankful to see so many people who support that organization. State of the town, outdone yourselves again, so thank you. Well done. The talks were really good, and I love how, I already told you, we did such a good job kind of closing it all up. So well done to everybody who supported and organized that. Pages in the Park, that's ongoing, right? And then we've got the spring bar crawl this weekend, Friday. And then we've got the classic car show coming up at the end of the month. And then over to Mr. Mayor Hamburgers for his same, no, that's on the same weekend.
Yeah, it's the same day as the spring car show,
yeah.
spring fling car show on the square. That's April 26th. And actually there is a rain date for that also, May 3rd. But with that, with the Leonardtown Rotary also, and we do the running of the balls down Fenwick Street. So if you're interested in buying a ball, let me know. If you need balls, we've got them for you. So thank you very much.
Awesome. Thank you, Mayor.
Okay, moving on to community development and planning. Nick?
All right, thank you, Mayor. Mike, as always, thank you for these reports.
Yes, sir.
Plenty of permits came through last month, and you were noticed, and that's great to see. Yeah, I was able to attend the State of Town, so always a great time. So Christy, thank you all and the LBA for putting that on. And then the hospice walk, that was a lot of fun. I know me and Jay were there, and great turnouts, always beautiful weather. You couldn't ask for a better day this past Saturday. But it's for a great cause, so just thrilled to see everybody out there. And then, like Dan mentioned, town election's coming up Tuesday, May 5th, so make sure to mark it in your calendars. That's everything from me. Thank you.
Thank you. Christie, utilities.
Thank you, Mayor. With the weather getting warm, I know I went around and checked all our hose bibs, so I want to just tell everybody, doing my PSA, check your hose bibs, make sure they're not leaking. It's surprising how much water a small leak can cost you, so just make sure everything's got gaskets and everything's all tightened up. And then irrigation, I also want to touch on as well. We have permits that we can only draw so much water out of the ground, so it's always important to make sure when you're watering that you're doing it at appropriate times and using, not flooding your yard and the neighbor's yard and the driveways, and just keep an eye on everything. That's all I have.
Okay.
Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you. Jay, Southern Maryland Municipal Association.
Okay, Mayor, thank you. Echo a few things from on my list. I did attend State of the Town. It was very well attended. So Leonardtown Business Association, Christy, thank you. And to our town staff as well that were there. It's a lot of support, a lot of good presentations, and I think that everyone walked away with some good, valuable stuff that Leonardtown's doing. So it was great. I did attend the hospice walk and run, and as Nick mentioned, very well attended. Weather was great, so it was a great event. As far as the MML Summer Conference, numbers looking really good this year. They have 770 registered, and that's a total of 94 municipalities throughout Maryland. So
That's more than last year too,
yeah, it's
right?
going to be a good turnout. As far as the Southern Maryland Municipal Association, I do not have an update, so no update on that.
Okay.
All right, thank you.
Thank you. And Mary, Business Development and Retention.
Yes, I just wanted to remind everybody that if you're doing 529 plan contributions in the state of Maryland, that you do want to sign the election. If you're getting the free money from the state of Maryland, you need to sign that election form by May 31st. So remind everybody to do that. This weekend is the Bermuda Triangle in Leonardtown, so that sounds, I think a lot of people from my office are planning on going. I won't be sleeping, but everybody else is going. And then just remind everybody, when you are doing your tax forms, it's funny, I have a national software that I use, and they pull their database from the zip codes, the national zip codes. And so they don't always put automatically Town of Leonardtown people and code it as Town of Leonardtown. So I called it the software support last week, and I was like, I'm really tired of this, you guys. Can you just at least ask us the question as to what municipality where this fund should be going? And the woman on the phone in my office was all laughing because she was like, well, what authority do you have? And I said, excuse me, I am on the council of Leonardtown. I think I know what our tax rate is and you are doing it incorrectly. So I don't know if I'll get it fixed, but I'm sure it's every software out there. It's really confusing for people in St. Mary's County. Charlotte Hall has the same issue. Charlotte Hall has some issues. Because, when they're looking at national zip code registry, even, I got some software people on the phone with me, they're like, well, I'm Googling it and it says, Charlotte Hall is St. Mary's. I'm like, yes, except for these 3 streets, which are Charles County. And it's a big difference when, if you remember last year, the county commissioners raised the tax rate in St. Mary's County, so we're actually higher than Charles County. So it's turning into it can be a real issue if you're in the wrong street, and tagged to the wrong county. So just remind everybody. They're all pulling it from zip codes, so any software is going to be pulling it incorrectly. So just FYI. And that's what I have. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you. All right. Does anybody else have anything for the good of the cause? Okay, hearing none, I'd entertain a motion to adjourn.
I move to adjourn.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you very much.
I think we all said that.
Yeah.
That was very, very good.